So a crucial week lies ahead with some significant data out of the States. Let's get across it all. Peter McGuire joining us from XM. Pete, happy Monday to you. As I mentioned, another big week ahead, and the US election just over a week away. Goodness, anyone's call on that one, isn't it? But let's first start with overall the performance you're seeing.
Well, good morning, Andrew. Yeah, it will be a big week, and no doubt November will be a big month. But when we're looking at October, it's performed relatively well. If you're looking at that index there, you're seeing, crude has had a big jump from a geopolitical standpoint, probably oversold, and it's bounced heavily to the upside. US dollar's taken a run as well. US dollar index sitting at that 104 sort of 30 number. And all the currencies against that, naturally, if you're short the currencies, you've done very well. And where we're looking as far as US equities, well, we've got a big week ahead for earnings, and of course finishing off with non-farm payrolls on Friday, Andrew.
Yeah, you mentioned just before we get to further on that data, the earnings, some really significant earnings this week from the Mag 7.
Yeah.
What are the expectations more broadly there?
Well, I think if you're going to look at them and you look at the numbers, I just made some notes, the massive numbers coming out from Apple. That's what they're expecting, around about, I think it's about 94.4 billion for the quarter. That's revenue. So, it's just monstrous. Where we roll, you've got a number of all the others reporting. You saw that issue as far as Tesla, that was heavily bid up. And then you've got, Apple at the moment sitting there, the largest by weight. It's going to be, again, very hot. And if they beat expectation, Andrew, then this is, I think, going to add to the value of the rally. And that'll just keep it, onward and upward. But It all depends on the numbers, naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Pete, let's dip into the data we're going to see this week. Look, we do get a quarterly read on the US economy, which, it has proved to be resilient. So what are the expectations?
Well, exactly, Andrew. You're expecting 3% in Q3. That's the same pace as Q2. So that's a good sign. But you've also got the Atlanta Fed GDP model. They're estimating around about 3.4%. So it could surprise to the upside, which would, again, be a positive tone. But we've just got to see and wait for those numbers to drop. Overall consensus, relatively strong. So you can't argue with the numbers. Have a look at the chart. And if that did get a 3.4 or above, then you've got to say it's showtime.
All right. Now, the key will be non-farm payroll jobs data at the end of the week. This, Pete, likely to determine what the Fed does next?
Well, exactly, Andrew. You're expecting tipping around about 140,000 for October. We're very mindful of how that performed in September. It was around 245,000. So it's a long way back. But hey, you may not hit 145. It may be lower or it may be significantly higher. So it just depends on how that number rolls. But you can't take your mind away for over 250,000 created in September. So let's just see how the numbers drop, and that'll all bear, I think, fruit for the Fed decision on the 7th.
Now, fair to say the focus for the Fed very much now on jobs rather than inflation, which it appears at least to have tamed.
Yes. Inflation, exactly right, Andrew. That's the focus at all. So it just, again, how the CPI runs, inflation, you're looking at those numbers and they're very, very important for a Fed policy decision. And I think that, core PCE, most of that weight, you're making it tick down to around about 2.7% year on year in August, even as headline PCE eased to around about 2.2%. So it's falling in the right direction, and that's a positive. So let's see how they roll as far as 25 basis points or no cut come on the 7th.
Meanwhile, in terms of policy decisions, then a focus locally on what the Reserve Bank is likely to do. We do get a piece of key data this week with quarterly CPI.
Absolutely, Andrew. We're 2.6% in August, hitting the RBA's target of between 2 to 3% target band for the first time since 2021. So is it going to maintain that, fall? And do we hit a 2.4, 2.5%? It's just, wait for the numbers again to drop. and then how that plays into policy decision. Do we see any form of cut? Most people are ruling it out for this year, and is it going to be in the first quarter of 25? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, okay. So when that drops, obviously also do a focus there on the Aussie dollar. Speaking of which, Pete, it has taken a beating of late, but is this really more about that the strength of the greenback?
Well, I think so, Andrew. I mean, it's been very strong. Also, you've got to think about the numbers coming out of China. But yeah, the US dollar index has had a massive run, and that's been a great market to short that Aussie dollar over the last couple of weeks. So have a look at the chart. It's fallen off a cliff, and it's given up the best part of nearly 2.5 cents. So you're running at the moment, 66.08. It's really being crushed to the downside and may see a 65 something handle this week.
Yeah, once again, that's the strength of the US dollar is going to be pivotal on the US election outcome.
Yeah, exactly, Andrew. 8 days to roll, and it's all moving. Well, no one knows the decision yet. We've just got to see how the voter base performs, and naturally, then you're looking at Fed policy, and it'll be sweeping changes. If President Trump is elected, we all understand what his agenda is as far as tariffs and the reintroduction of them, and aggressively. So it will certainly shake up the markets, to put it mildly.
Yeah, well, if you take a look at those impartial polls, impossible to pick a winner at this point, 8 days out, as you say.
Yeah.
Pete, elsewhere, of significance, Japan went to the polls yesterday. The government's majority has been wiped out. Interested to see then what that's likely to do. Does it make the Bank of Japan's decision making just that more difficult?
Well, it does, Andrew, because it creates a like a quagmire of who's going to be in power, who's going to align with who, and that naturally will impact decision making. Keep an eye very closely on the performance of the Nikkei, what happens as far as Bank of Japan, and the other side, of course, with the yen. So it's very delicate at the moment. We've just got to see how that all drops, but we'll know more as the day, and probably in the next couple of days, who's aligning with who.
Yeah. Let's round it out with a look at crypto, what we're seeing there at the moment. Bitcoin, yeah, look, it's managing to climb, but pretty much within a range at the moment. What's going on with Ethereum, though?
Well, that's had a bit of a run up as well, but I keep a closer eye on Bitcoin 67.1. But yeah, Ethereum is certainly it's choppy, and I think that you've had a bit of a sell off, and I wouldn't be surprised for it to have a bounce off that resistance. We'll just see how it rolls from a technical standpoint. But when we're looking at crypto, we're also got to take on board what's happening as far as precious metals and the value of the US dollar. So at the moment, it seems to be a little bit of under a little bit of pressure, but I'm not suggesting that's going to last for that long.